Hello and welcome to the director's commentary for Space Circus. So I've got a lot to talk about on this one, so I'm just going to go ahead and press play. So the first shot I want to talk about is the shot with the hole in the ceiling, where it pans down from the hole down to the spaceship. So with this shot, I used my new toy, which is a Ronin SC electric gimbal. And what you can do is you put the camera in the gimbal and you can pre-program the camera movement. So I could replicate the same camera movement as many times as I wanted. So the pan from the ceiling down to the ground. So this helps me, because I do all of it on my own. It helps me if I want to have a few different objects in a shot in that same movement. I've never been able to do moving shots before. So what it allowed me to do was film myself sat on the ground, then the clean back plate with no effects, and then me holding the ship hovering in the air. So I could then take those three shots and combine them, and I've got the back plate with the same movement, so I can cut me out holding the ship, and I can drop me, because I was sat in front of a green screen on the shot when I'm sitting, so I could drop me into that background shot as well. So it allows me to do these, I won't go over the top of them because they're quite tricky to do, but it allows me to do moving shots with compositing effects, which is great. So anyway, that's that. So let's talk about the Ringmaster. The Ringmaster was a two-piece mask. So I had the red chin that glued onto my chin with spirit gum, and then I painted my face red to match. And then I had the green latex mask that sat over the top and velcroed up at the back. And then I had the hat, which I wanted anyway, but that was handy because it covered up any mess at the top, because it was a bit untidy at the top of the mask. And I think that worked really well. As well as my amazing £12, what's that, $17 tuxedo top from eBay. It's amazing. And then, as you can tell, I got a lot of red face paint on the bow tie as I went through, and yeah, I was really happy with how the Ringmaster looked. So the little dancing lumpy boy, although I'm very happy with how he looked, I love the way he's modelled, his little pants, I love the model itself. The animating it, I really dropped the ball animating it. And hopefully that doesn't really come across in the video itself, but I added so many, like an extra week or two of VFX on this project. That's why it took so long to come out, because I just animated all the puppets wrong. So in animating the little dancing lumpy boy, I took a shot of the background without me in it, and then a shot of the lumpy boy being animated, but the way I animated him was using my hands. So in every shot I had to basically cut my arms out from behind him. So I don't know if any of you do rotoscoping, but you basically have to do it almost frame by frame, cutting out my arms, and he moves quite a lot, so it really was quite a job. And basically any shot when you see the lumpy boy moving, I've had to remove my arms, so it was a nightmare. When he's kicking my leg, that's a fake leg, because I was animating him behind, operating him or whatever. So the leg is actually my jeans stuffed, stood on a tripod, and then I sellotaped the underside of my foot to the ground so it didn't move when he kicked me too much. I can't really think of any way of animating the puppet, the lumpy boy, than how I did it, because the problem is he's a freestanding puppet moving about quite a lot. There's not really any way you get around of it without digital effects, but I want to really look at how I create puppet mechanisms and animatronics and rethink that whole process. Add so much time onto a video that doesn't need to be there, that if I was more clever with how I built the puppets, wouldn't create such problems for myself. So like I said, I'm happy with how everything looked, but it just adds so much time onto the, so the triangle, the ear, Skinny Sam, they all have my arms in the background. I had to cut them all out, so they're just not well designed puppets. Well, I like how the puppets look, but the mechanisms of the puppets aren't thought out as a professional puppet operator would. So the idea is, I suppose, to hide the operator with a puppet, but with this one, all the puppets are kind of small and freestanding or floating, or I wasn't very clever with how I was thinking. The problem is, I suppose, with a normal something like the Dark Crystal, a big scale puppet operation, you'd have a set built that your operator would sit in, which is set below the puppet, whereas I'm obviously not that budget, so everything's in my kitchen. I can't really say cut a hole in my floor and hide in that. But yeah, so I really need to have a good think about this moving forward, because although it might take a day or two extra in the puppet building process, it will shave a week or two off when it comes to post. And the building the puppets is the interesting bit. The rotoscoping and removing my arms in post is like the most boring part of this whole process. Everything else I love, and that's just like soul destroying. So the shot of the spaceship leaving was a lot easier because it was a static shot rather than a moving shot. Oh, the holes in the ceiling I created in 3D Studio Max, so they're modelled in 3D Studio Max and then photoshopped a bit to make them look a little bit more realistic, and then just dropped in After Effects. They're still static images that I've just dropped in After Effects. I don't know if any of you follow me on Instagram, but I put some Instagram stories up of me attempting to play with physics in 3D Studio Max and get some of the roof tiles to kind of shift as if they've just been broken through by a spaceship, so they just rotate a little bit. So I tried to do it with physics rather than hand animate it, and I was in a bit of a time frame, so I kind of gave up in the end, but my attempt at physics on that was ridiculous. It just didn't work. So I might move on to Blender, to be honest, because 3D Studio Max is expensive and doesn't. I think Blender's the way to go. But I don't know. I used to do a lot of 3D modelling in university and haven't really touched it that much since. So I'm not really an expert on it. So I need to maybe teach myself some 3D animating stuff in Blender. But then, is there that much point? Because I love puppets, and I think if I went too heavy into 3D Studio Max, I'd lose the magic of the puppets. Anyway, now I am rambling. Thank you for watching this director's commentary. I hope it was useful or interesting or whatever. And thank you for supporting me and being a patron. Okay, thank you, bye.